Good morning, everybody. We are live here from the birdhouse. We are already towards the end of October, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update on some of the birds that are flowing in from fall migration and talk about some of the signs of the spotted lanternfly and another invasive insect. As always, we love to know what kind of things you're seeing. You can put your comments or you can put your sightings in the comments. If you have questions, you can throw those in there too, or you can always just say hi. So we will get started here. First of all, there's a couple different invasive insects that we have here in Western New York that now is a time you can kind of look for some of the signs that they might be around. The first is from a moth that's kind of called the LDD moth, the Lymantria dispar moth, formerly known as the gypsy moth. They can have big years of booms or busts, but they can definitely defoliate lots and lots of trees. So if you're in an area that's been affected, it's always important to look for their egg masses this time of the year, especially on the sides of trees. So fall through winter, you can help protect New York's trees by being on the lookout from their egg masses. You can find them on any flat surface, including trees, firewood, outdoor furniture. So this is a picture of what the moth's egg masses look like, the gypsy moth or the LDD moth. And I've got another photo of them here. So here is the moth with the egg masses. So they're about 1.5 inches long. They appear tan brownish in color and fuzzy. So you can scrape them off into hot soapy water or a baggie of hand sanitizer or rubbing alcohol. It won't eradicate the moths from New York, but it can kill 600 to 700 eggs per mass. So that's pretty wild. And each one of those masses there can be 600 to 700 eggs. Pretty wild. You can see why they have spread quite rapidly. So that can help with any kind of defoliation the following year. So this is what the moths look like here. You can see they're about the size of a quarter, and then they're sitting on their egg masses. So that's one thing to be on the lookout for. The other is the spotted lanternfly, and spotted lanternfly aren't a big problem here yet, but they have been spotted in our county. I'm in Monroe County, and they have been spotted. I'll show you a map of all the places they've been spotted so far. So far there's been some scattered reports in Monroe County, but not a lot, but it's definitely something to be on the lookout for. And this is what spotted lanternfly egg masses look like. They're also about 1.5 inches long, but they resemble mud or mud that has dried and cracked. So they're not fuzzy like the gypsy moth egg masses. Each mass that they lay contains anywhere between 30 and 50 eggs. Now, if you believe that you have found any spotted lanternfly eggs, you should take a photo and report it based on and then also make sure you know exactly where your location is that you found it. Then you want to scrape off the eggs into hot soapy water or a baggie of hand sanitizer or rubbing alcohol, just like you would with the other egg masses. So this is what the spotted lanternfly egg mass looks like. And then here's another one here, just to kind of show you what it looks like. It does look like some mud that has that's on the side of something that is dried and cracked. So just like the gypsy moth egg masses, you can find them on the side of trees, furniture, wooden structures. Like this looks like a pallet. So keep an eye out for them. And then this is what they look like. This is their whole life cycle. So right now, October through June is when you can see some of these egg masses. The early stage nymph, so once those eggs have hatched, they come out as their nymph stage. So not a fully formed insect. They can't fly or anything like that. But the nymphs they're actually all parts of their life cycle they're a gorgeous insect, but they're very destructive. The nymphs are small and black with white polka dots on them. So this is what they look like in their early nymph stage, which is usually May through July. And then as they grow, they will get larger. Their colors will change a bit. So the third picture here is the late stage nymph, which you can usually find July through September. And then the adult, which is a really nice, beautiful looking insect. You can find anywhere between July and December, depending on where you are. So this is the spotted lanternfly and what they look like in each stage of their development and each stage of their life cycle. So it's that last stage where they have the fully formed wings, where they'll fly. They are a leafhopper type of insect, so they can fly, they can kind of hop, and they're quite large too. They're not a little leafhopper. They are quite large. So this is the spotted lanternfly. So something to be on the lookout for. But another thing, not to be confused with the spotted lanternfly or the gypsy moth egg cases, something you might find in your garden are egg masses from praying mantids. And this is a picture of what that looks like. You can find these usually on things like sticks. You might find them on stakes if you have any kind of garden stakes in your yard, or if you have any kind of plant supports. They tend to lay them on something like that. So the egg masses from the praying mantids can also be seen through the winter. They appear like a rounded sack that hardens and feels styrofoam-like. These are not an issue. When in doubt, double check online or submit a report to the New York Invasives. So these tend to be more three-dimensional. They're not as flat as the gypsy moth egg masses or the spotted lanternfly masses, and they do kind of feel papery. They feel papery and like styrofoam. That's a good way to describe them. So these you might find in your garden, and they're just praying mantid egg sacs, and they will hatch in the spring once it warms up. A whole bunch of little tiny mantids will come out of these. So you might find these in your garden as well, but these aren't trouble like the gypsy moths or the spotted lanternfly egg masses can be. So just some things to be on the lookout for. If you're doing kind of any raking, you might come across these in your yard. So now's a good time for us to kind of give a reminder. And this is the distribution map of the spotted lanternfly. So this is where they have been reported. So you can see there's a lot of them in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, southern New York, and there's just starting to be some reports up where we are. There's been some reports down in the Finger Lakes area, some scattered reports, and a couple along in the Greece area where we are in Monroe County and around 104. So they're definitely around. There's definitely more of them in the South. So if you're in the South, you might know this already and you might see these quite often, but it's kind of a newer thing that's just starting to arrive to our area. So keep an eye out for all of those signs. But as far as the birds go, there's lots of birds still around. You might find that different birds are coming to your feeders now that it's getting cooler and food can be a little bit more scarce. You might see things like bluebirds if you were lucky enough to have bluebirds around. Some bluebirds will go south for the winter. Some will stick around if they've got plenty of food. If you've got a heated bird bath out, the bluebirds absolutely love those. But they'll come to seed and suet cakes sometimes in the fall and winter months too. And these are some pictures sent in a while ago by Bob H. This is a really great mix of birds here. You've got the male bluebird here on the suet feeder on the corner. It looks like the female bluebird. Just kind of checking them out. You've got a chickadee, you've got a goldfinch, and then clinging onto the pole here, you've got a tufted titmouse. So another bird that you might start to get on your suet that you haven't seen all summer long are going to be things like northern flicker, the woodpecker. They tend to be more common at suet feeders as it gets cooler out in the winter months. And then during the spring and summer, they don't come to suet feeders as often, but you can find them around, just not so much at the feeders. So eastern bluebirds, some people are still getting them in the area. This is the male and the female, and they are definitely done with their nesting. If you see them hanging out around the nest boxes, they might be checking out spots for the following season. But really what they're looking for right now is going to be food and water. So if you're putting out food for them, anything with berries in it is always good. They'll eat sunflower hearts. They'll eat mealworms. So we have a blend of seed log and suet cake called Bugs, Nuts, and Fruit, which they absolutely love. And so if you're looking to attract bluebirds, I would definitely put out the Bugs, Nuts, and Fruit blend. There's something in there for the bluebirds, no matter what they're looking for, whether it be the insect protein, the seeds, or the fruit. And other birds absolutely love it too. There's lots of waterfowl that are coming into the area and will continue coming into the area. So now's a fun time to check out any kind of big open bodies of water. You might catch a glimpse, if you're lucky, of harlequin duck, which are an rare, but I would say frequent visitor, especially as we go into the winter. We might start to hear reports of harlequin ducks. There's usually a few that can be spotted in the area each year, so be on the lookout for harlequin duck. Common loon, check out the spots for common loon along the lake, along the bay, any kind of large bodies of open water, you might come across common loon. There's a lot of double-crested cormorants. I've been seeing a ton of double-crested cormorants in the area, and they dive under the water just like the loons will. So you might see them floating along, swimming along for a while, and then they dive under the water to look for fish and macroinvertebrates. And so lots of cormorants are in the area. And then there's a whole bunch of other types of ducks you can find, things like pintail. Long-tailed duck will be here all winter long, and they're starting to come back into the area. This is a gorgeous winter bird that we have here. So there's birds that come in during the colder months here that we don't have in the spring and summer, and long-tailed duck is one of them, and they are just beautiful. And you can see them along the lake in just giant rafts of hundreds or thousands sometimes. Long-tailed duck, a gorgeous bird that we have got coming back to the area. This bird is called a redhead. The males have a very reddish colored head and a blue colored beak. White-winged scoter, more common here in the winter. They're starting to make an appearance back in the area. You might see more red-breasted merganser, more common merganser coming back. And even snow bunting. There have been a couple reports just within the past couple weeks of snow bunting coming back. Snow bunting will sometimes form large flocks in open fields. So if you're passing any kind of farm fields, especially in the Finger Lakes area, I've seen a lot down there, or along the lake shore, historically is a great place to look for snow bunting. Really cool bird there. In your backyard, things like red-breasted nuthatch might be showing up a little bit more often. They like the sunflower hearts, they like suet, they'll eat peanuts. So you might get white-breasted nuthatch and also red-breasted nuthatch. We should have quite a few of them around this year. And keep an eye out on the side of your trees for brown creeper. You might have to squint to see it, but here is the little brown bird that will blend in very well with trees, and it will creep up those trees looking for food just to fly back down to the base and continue its path creeping back up the tree. Really cute bird. I have these in my backyard sometimes. They're just they don't sing really loud this time of the year especially, and they just blend in so well. They've got that really great cryptic coloration, so you just might not notice them. So take a look at your tree trunks, and if you see something little and brown crawling up, that's going to be a brown creeper. And then we've got some of our sparrows coming back into the area. American tree sparrow is coming back. They'll be here all winter long. Keep an eye out for them, usually underneath your feeders as they're cleaning up some seeds and looking through shells to see if there's anything that's been left behind. The larger fox sparrow will migrate through. White-throated sparrow, I've been picking up their calls on my haiku box, so they're definitely back. We've been getting lots of reports of them coming back into backyards. White-crowned sparrow, the same thing. Look underneath your feeders for them. They'll eat sunflower hearts, safflower. These birds will eat millet too. The sparrows will eat millet. So our chickadee blend or our deluxe blend are fabulous for all of these migrating sparrows. And of course, dark-eyed junco. This is a pretty reliable bird every year in your backyard. If you are feeding birds, you're going to get some dark-eyed junco. It's a pretty safe bet. No matter where you are, you will get some dark-eyed junco. And you can see how they get their name. They have that black eye. They're very gray in color with a pink bill and a light-colored belly. And there are birds of prey that are still hanging around. Some reports of American kestrel, but even more commonly, especially in the colder months, is going to be this falcon called the merlin. They're very similar in size to the American kestrel, but you can see their coloration is different. This is the male. And there's been quite a few of them reported around recently. And I don't know if they're just becoming more common or what it is, but there's been quite a few reports of them even in people's neighborhoods. So if you see a very small falcon, it could be an American kestrel, but as it gets cooler out, it is most likely going to be a merlin. other birds of prey that are coming back into the area, especially along the lake shore. If you're familiar with the Owl Woods area of the Braddock Bay complex, the saw-whet owl. There's been reports of saw-whet owl back in the area already. This is a small, very small, about the size of a soda can, a very small migratory owl. And they're coming back. We do have a lot of them early in the spring, around March, mid to late March. There's quite a few that pass through, but there's already some that are being sighted right now. So if you're trying to find any of these birds, especially the waterfowl, you need the right tools for the job. If you've got binoculars, that is awesome. Also, consider things like a spotting scope. If you are looking for waterfowl that's far out in the distance, or if you're looking at flocks of snow bunting, which could be far off in the distance, consider getting a spotting scope. Spotting scopes they're like a single tube binocular. You put them on a tripod and they have much better magnification. So you can see things from much, much further away. We have several different types here at the store. This is the one I have, the Vortex Viper 85 millimeter scope. This is a fantastic scope for the price. Spotting scopes can be so, so expensive. You can spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on them. This is the best one I have come across for the price. This is a $900 scope. So they're not super cheap by any means, but they're not tens of thousands of dollars either. And we have this in the store if you wanted to take a peek through it. And the optics on it are just fantastic for the price. So I love this scope. I use this to go out on in grasslands and look at grassland birds. It's perfect for birding when there's water and there's a lot of waterfowl out there. So I love my Vortex scope. It's awesome, the Vortex Viper. But that's everything I have for you guys today. If you are out there birding this weekend, send in your photos. We'll share some of your photos on Tuesday when we are back with another broadcast. So until then, you guys have a great weekend, and keep an eye out for some of these migratory birds coming through. We're waiting to hear if there's any reports of red poles in the area. So far, there haven't been, but they are kind of making their way down to the southern part of Canada. So I'm excited to see if any of them kind of make the leap over the water to get down to our area and start flowing down this way. So everybody have a very great weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday with another broadcast. And until then, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.